What's going on, guys? Bonafide Hustler here. Kind of messed up my first intro. That was the first of. I haven't ever messed up an intro before in my entire life. Anyway, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. This show is about 10 items that I flipped, and it's really interesting. Today, we're going to be talking about a lot of things that belonged on Craigslist, that went on eBay, and that ended up in my booth. So, and this one's not an Amazon show, but it's going to be action packed. You're definitely going to learn something. The 10 items that I sold series is definitely part of a playlist now. So by the time you watch this after the fact, there's going to be a link up there where you can watch all of them. I think by now I probably have about 10 videos in the series. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be a really decent show. So we have some people on the feed right now. What's up, Q? Good to see you, man. What's up, Hoovy? Good to see you. And Ben H, it's good to see you too. Stone Mason, I think we should all give Q a round of applause. Just bought a car because of reselling and some actual job money, but for the most part, it's mostly reselling based. And he's going to try to close out the loan super early. So hey, congratulations on your car, Q. All right, anyway, okay. Let's go into the sound check. Let's make sure it's good. I have a lot of things in my head right now, so I have like a billion things I'm thinking about, but I do want to crank out this content for the show because there's some really good things. I spent about 30 minutes like getting all the pictures together, and I was like, which pictures get me really, really excited. And we don't even have 10 things to really talk about. We have more than 10 things to talk about in this show. That's right. Under promise, over deliver. That's the Bonafide Hustler kind of saying right there. But yeah, I spent about 30 minutes rifling through thousands. Well, not about, okay, that's a little exaggerated. Probably 300 pictures or more, and came down to these items that I'm about to show you. And these are interesting things. Some of the stuff echoes a little bit of the things that we talked about yesterday on the show. Like I said, if you're kind of lost, you're like, what the hell was yesterday's show? There is a playlist up above after the fact, and it'll link you to all the 10 items that sold series. So anyway, let's make sure that I sound good. Looks like Joseph Morin's telling me I sound good. Mike Raleigh is saying I sound good. We've got someone from Ireland in the house. Man, awesome. Stone Mason, thanks for helping me out. What's up, Tress? What's up, Musa NC? Truth Seeker from Yeshua, what's up? So yeah. Let me just answer this question real quick. It's a little off topic, but I'll do it anyway. Can you Truth Seeker for Yeshua, can you tell me a good barcode scanner app for eBay? I mean, a lot of people in the green room just use the eBay, like, a barcode scanner app for eBay. Oh, okay. Wow, I was thinking it was Amazon. That I don't know. That I don't. I mean, I've had limited success with anything barcode related with eBay, but that's just me. I don't know about that one. Anyway, it's good to see everybody. Simply Gorgeous by Melanie. I think bought my book yesterday. I just a bunch of comments and I just noticed it. So okay, let's talk about this. The way this show goes, the way that the premise of the show kind of lays out is I do a screen share and then we kind of look at these pictures together. So let me make sure everything's ready to go. Looks like the first part of the screen share is coming here in 1 second. If you guys can see on the screen what it is, then let me know. Okay. We're going to present this to everyone here and get a little bit bigger. Boom. And the most important thing is that you see the mouse pointer going around the picture, okay? So we're going to be learning about some things today. And some of the things today we're going to be talking about, it's a little bit echoing off yesterday's show, but if you missed it, you'll be able to catch it down the road. You guys ready to see this? I guess you guys will know what I'm talking about, right? Let's make sure that you guys see this. What do you guys see right here? Who's real like, oh, okay, I think I know what that is. Like, I swear if someone says this is Beats by Dre, I'm going to eject you out of this hangout. Anyway, this is not Beats by Dre, but what do we have in front of us here? Anyone take a guess before the first guess and the show starts? I need to get some guesses in there, guys. I'm pretty sure someone's going to figure it out. Pola Shek says, Bonafide, do I work or just eBay? No, I mean, I do flipping. I do. I'm also a co-founder of the greenroomuniversity.com, very important place that I'm affiliated with. And yeah, so those two things right there, plus a couple other streams of income. I mean, that's what I do. So, okay, so people know what's up. Kelly Barrera said, okay, so Truth for Seeker said it's headphones, but Kelly is mostly correct. Aviation headset, helicopter headset. That's right. So I think this is a helicopter one. So what we have here is a David Clark headset. And I popped on this at a garage sale for $5. I think this was $5. And I just knew it. I was like, you know what? These retro vintage headsets definitely have some decent resale. Of course, they're not completely super outdated yet. They still have the right kind of plugs to where people can still use them on, aircraft that is not super current day. But it's a basic headset. It was actually really well built. The foam wasn't completely destroyed at the top right here. And it's a David Clark. So you want to remember these two names, David Clark, right? So this headset right here sold for $50 on eBay. Did I test it out? No, I did not. But quite honestly, it's very hard for one of these things to get messed up. So they are built really well. You can even see like the wire is like, how do I say it, intertwined or cross-threaded right there. But this is definitely a heavy-duty kind of thing that can take decent abuse. So that was something I popped on from a garage sale. It's pretty interesting. It sold very quickly. I mean, extremely quickly. All right. So this is a very interesting flip right here. And I remember the story behind this one. So I was in a neighborhood that was very close to my house. It was neighborhood-wide garage sale season. And I'm just putting around. And I went to my first garage sale and I was like, I did okay. And then directly across the street, a garage opens. All right. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when we deal with neighborhood garage sales here in Austin, Texas, not every garage sale will have a sign, like it's implied that the entire neighborhood's having it. So like your best thing to do is to do kind of like a grid search. Like it's where you look at the neighborhood as like a grid and then you just kind of like go through all the streets that you can, right? So I was actually at another garage sale and then across the street, hold on real quick. That wasn't the right thing to do. I was at a garage sale, and across the street there was this garage that opened up, right? And so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Wonder what's there. But this is like the very, very first thing that was in the garage sale. I saw this bike, and they wheel it out. I'm like, oh my god, that is cherry. I believe I bought this bike for like $10. If I'm not mistaken, it was like $10. There's a really funny story behind where it went to. So, it had some scuffs and scratches, no big deal, but it was black with that really cool 80 or early 90s/80s 420. And I'm not even kidding you. About a month and a half later, I found myself in the middle of the University of Texas campus. This thing was in the back of my car. And there was a stoner guy that came up. He was a student. He was like, yeah, my bike got stolen the other day. So my mom wired me some money to get a new bike. And yeah, he was so out of it, right? His hair was all long and everything like that. And I was like, this is so appropriate for you. Like the bike basically says 420 on it. So he bought it like on the spot. He didn't even he barely putted around. Like we parked in a parking lot. We took it out of the van and he took it in the tightest little circle possible. He's like, yeah, I'll take it. I was like, what? So he didn't do anything with it really. And so that was the story of that bike right there. It's $360 sold on Craigslist. $10 garage sale find. I think very interesting. What we have here, let me make sure the comments are going okay. Hey, what's up, Tom? The English the Picker. We got a bunch of people. Deanna Silva says the past pictures were headphones for a gaming system. No, these were headphones for aircraft/helicopter. More than likely helicopter right there. So, okay, so let's go to the next picture right here. This I bought from a pawn shop for $150. This was a pawn shop in Georgetown, Texas, which is a town that's about 30 minutes away. And I just remember going to Georgetown one day and I was like, holy crap, there are pawn shops here, right? And then I couldn't really stop that day. So I came back several days later and I was like, all right, that's it. Now I'm going to take a whole day and just hit up all the pawn shops and thrift stores in Georgetown. So I go and hit them all up and I came to this one and I found this E-Savage, which at the time was actually a really cool RC truck. And it's called E-Savage because it's actually electrical. It's not gas powered or anything like that. So we're talking batteries here. It wasn't even really fast. It was okay fun, but at the same time, when I picked it up at the pawn shop, it was $150, came with some batteries, and I was like, there's no way this thing's not going to work. In fact, I powered it on at the pawn shop, and I was able to squeeze the trigger here on the transmitter just enough to see this thing go forward just a little bit, and then the batteries were dead. So at that point, I was like, all right, it looks like this thing's definitely talking to the receiver that's in the truck. The receiver is definitely, activating the motors, and I was like, all right, forget it. Like, I want to do it. The E-Savage is a all-wheel drive truck that runs off of NiCad or nickel metal hydride batteries, NIMH. And so it's not the ones that run off LiPo batteries. And the motors on these cars are what's termed as brushless motors. So if you can remember anything about radio control stuff, current day versus back in the day, current day stuff that's hobby grade, there's a lot of stuff that's brushless, which is super fast, like electrical cars and trucks and buggies. But back in the day, there was none of that stuff. There was just called brushed. And so brushed motors, they don't spin as high of an RPM as a brushless motor. A brushless setup will always use the kind of the same battery that's in your iPhone, right? It's called a lipo polymer or lithium polymer, but yeah, that's what it's called, lipo, right? And the old style kind of radio controlled cars and trucks and all that kind of stuff, those used nickel metal hydride, NIMH or NICD, nickel cadmium batteries. So this was a little bit of the older side. It was in great condition. That's the reason why I didn't want to mess with it too much, because I was like, it's very easy to get carried away with these type of trucks. I mean, you have curbs in front of you and jumps, and all you want to do, like if you're a guy and you're messing with this, I guarantee you cannot help yourself and try to spin it out and try to jump things and go crazy. But this being in the condition that it was, and with my RC background, I was like, yeah, it's not worth screwing this thing up. And it was really nice on the underside. The wheels were beautiful. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is just a shot of I believe this is the front of the car. No, back, front. I don't know. I think it's the front. Anyway, but yeah, we could see that this thing probably has never done a somersault ever. It was just a really good buy. So I ended up selling it for $225 in the parking lot of a Target that was like 4 exits down my house. And the guy kind of played with it a little bit, and he was like, "Oh man, that's pretty cool." I think I was asking $250 at the time, and then he offered me $225, and that was moved on Craigslist right there. So this thing is made by a company called HPI right here. You can barely see it. This is the model is called the E-Savage. Now they make a model called the Savage, but the Savage was a gas-powered truck. So in order to appease and make happy to the electrical crowd, they made an E-Savage, which honestly didn't do that well. But the actual normal Savage did very, very well in their lineup. So about 10 years ago, there were like nitro cars, the ones that ran off gas basically instead of batteries. Those were very, very popular. And then now it's quite the opposite. In fact, most of these manufacturers like HPI Racing and Traxxas and Losi, Axial, all these manufacturers don't even produce like nitro cars anymore. They just got out of the market because everything went battery. Everyone went to these lithium polymer brushless setups that are super, super fast and like hella crazy reliable, and they need no tuning basically. And that was the big downside of nitro cars, is that they needed tuning, and they dealt with a whole lot of friction, right? The piston and the sleeve and all this stuff. And so you had to rebuild the thing every now and then. Anyway, so just a kind of a tutorial to you guys. If you go out there, and gals, like if you go out there and you find this at a garage sale or a thrift shop, yesterday's kind of explanation on like how can you tell a hobby grade RC from a consumer grade RC? Well, if you have these little pins on top, see these little pins? You got these little pins on top, take off the body, and then underneath you should see all kinds of crazy wires and all kinds of stuff. So when you do that, see like the body is propped up right here. You can't really tell, but it is. It's propped up at a kind of at a diagonal angle. So this is what it kind of looks like inside. Wires everywhere, exposed shocks and everything like that. You're dealing with a hobby grade RC at this point, and you should definitely do further research. Apparently, and I'm not even kidding, guys. Check this out. I'm going to put myself on the screen here. I was talking to Rakin earlier in chat, and Rakin said, because of your show yesterday, we said, okay, this is what happened. He was at a thrift store today. I think a thrift store or a pawn shop. Someone comes up to him like, "Hey, you're raking profit, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You won't believe it. Like yesterday on Bonafide's show, which was literally yesterday, he's like, he talked about this thing called Gold Pan RC10 team associated remote radio controlled vehicles." And he's like, "No kidding. I found 2 of them." And it was like, what, $7 a piece, or maybe 7 for both. And he was like, I found 2 already within one day, crazy. So, I guess these shows are really, people are liking them and people are finding stuff from them. So it was just an amazing story, because that was literally like less than 24 hours. The dude found some stuff that I talked about yesterday. So definitely listen up on the stuff that I have to tell you on these 10 items that's sold series. I think you're going to definitely learn something. You can definitely make some money off of it. While I have you guys' attention real quick, very important that if you do want to learn at a rapid pace, not only do we have greenroomuniversity.com, very important. If you want to join it, go ahead. But we have the free guide as well, right? The free guide puts you on an amazing email list that has a lot of content that take the time and just read it. Trust me, I've crafted a quarter of those emails at least. And we also have this, something that the admin staff crafted about a year and a half ago, right? And at one point we were charging for this thing, and now we don't. But this is down below. It's the first link, so check it out, right? And definitely like the video, right? If you get a chance, make a decision down there. I'm not telling you to really like it, but I would like it if you like it. but make a choice is what I'm trying to say. If you dislike it, at least make the choice. It's very important. Okay, let's go into the next item. Get into the screen share here. Okay, so now we learned about this. Now let's go into this right here. Every now and then, very rarely actually. So it's like when I say every now and then, it's pretty much like super rare. But then I say that, and I did it like last week. But every now and then, I get into the Craigslist free section. All right, and the free section most of the times has crap, but every now and then you find some interesting gems, right? So this was a pair of rims that I found in the Craigslist section for free for bikes. This is road bike rims that are very vintage and usually have issues. And to my, to no surprise, they had some issues, and that's the reason why the guy was just like, I just want them out of the house. So let's take a look at them. So they're made out of carbon, right? They're carbon fiber, and they're truly like lengthened actual strips of fiber, like you can see it. I mean, we can see the carbon fiber here. And anyway, so they were cracked. Some of them were cracked, and one was like pretty good, but one was like pretty cracked up. So let's take a look at some of this damage here. If you, I mean, my pictures are, so you can kind of see the thread of the carbon fiber threads right there. But we definitely have an impact or something that happened right here. These rims are really weird. Like they attach. I mean, the spokes attached to the rim with these screws that are drilled in from the inside. So I knew that there's one. Well, there was one missing right here. It was the weirdest design of all time. I mean, really cool looking. I mean, look at this. Like, this is super awesome looking. But they're known to have crazy issues, and we can see on each one of these, the 4 screws right there. This one looks like it only has 2. That one has 4. This one looks like it has 2 only. So it had some issues, right? These rims. And I mean, they were interesting at best. So what I did was I was able to flip these for about 60, if not 90. I think it was 60 though. I was able to reflip them for $60 on Craigslist like a month later. So I kind of feel bad, like if I get something from the free section of Craigslist and I throw it like immediately on there, like I feel real bad. I feel real bad if I hustle something from Craigslist and put it like the very next day. I feel super bad about it. I just don't like it. It's not good karma. So I tend not to do it, right? I give it a little bit of like, and same thing like with things that I get through OfferUp or things in my neighborhood, right? When I use Nextdoor app, if I hustle something that's like just such a good deal, like I just try not to put it immediately like back onto like Craigslist, which is like the #1 place anyone would look for anything, right? So anyway, good flip. It doesn't take up much room, very light, and yeah, so really nice kind of rim right here. And someone probably just was like, oh, I'll rebuild it. So that's probably what happened. Okay, so this next bike is very important. I want to show you some. Oh, look what's behind the bike, guys. You guys know what's behind the bike? Who knows what's behind this bike? We're not going to talk about that, but you should know what that is. I think we have some tiki oil right here, right? I think we have a wetsuit hanging up right here. So yeah, there's definitely the bona fide hustler that lives in this house. But this bike is very, very important because I was going up to about 150 each when I was buying these things. The 20-inch model will have a little bit less resale, but what we're looking at here is a GT, Chrome GT, usually 95, 96, sometimes all the way up to 01. But these are Chrome. This one's a 24-inch cruiser. The wheels are not exactly as big as super adult bikes like 26, but they're not super small like most kids' bikes, which are 20. So in between, you have this thing called a 24-inch cruiser. And they're getting harder and harder to find because clearly this is a vintage bike, so they don't make it anymore. This is the one with the wing spread and everything like that. People did BMX with these and race them and stuff like that, but most of these were just called cruisers, right? We just kind of cruise around on them. So to find these like this with the chrome all good and like not all effed up, it's really hard. And most people that now, if you find one of these out there, I mean, the asking price is usually north of 300 pretty quickly. Like that would be a baseline with covered with rust. One of these would be like $300. So I was buying them all the way up to about $150, and I was finding them at pawn shops, and most of the ones I found actually were pawn shops. I found one from a bike reseller, strangely enough, that had nothing but Schwinn's and like cruiser bikes, but for some reason this was sitting in the back of his shop, and I was like, holy crap, like sell it to me. And I think I made a deal for 100 for one of them. But anyway, the one we're looking at here, I believe it's like pawn shop find for like $100. Not even kidding. Like this thing sold super, super fast. 375 for this one right here. Had to meet someone in South Austin for it though, but I was like, who cares? I mean, asking price day one, 375. I mean, you bet your ass I'm in a car like meeting someone. And because that's kind of how I deal with it when I deal with Craigslist. If I put an absurd price, not absurd, but for that time that I mean, this is probably a 2-year-old flip. For that time, it was, like 375 was definitely the top of the market, like definitely. So when I put that price up there, I was like aiming for the top. When someone calls me within 24 hours, like, yeah, I want to buy it. Like I, at that point go, you know what? I was really wanting 3, but I was like, holy crap, like that's an extra 75 bucks. That's a great premium. Like, okay, so I'll do it, And of course, Bonafide Hustler meets him right outside of a Goodwill because that's what you do. Yeah. Anyway, so he putted around like one tiny little turn and he was like, I'll take it. So that's what it looks like right there. It's got, kind of some jury rig brakes and everything like that, but who cares? I mean, it's just the frame, the wheels. I believe they had Sovog. I think that's what they're called, hubs. It was just a nice bike. It's all chrome. It's super, super hard to find them in this condition now. It really is. So he definitely liked that. Hey, guys. Do you guys like the show? Let me know. Make that choice. I'm going to go do a refresh right here. We have 40 viewers in the house. 17 upvotes, 0 downvotes. I'm not a mathematician here, but 23 people here are kind of just creeping along, not doing something. Yeah, so hit the like button if you can. Would greatly appreciate it. I got some comments in the feed here. If you guys anything you guys want to talk about, we can. Anyone else from Austin? What's up, Francis Toe? Good to see ya. Stone Mace, I want to be like BH when I grow up, although he's half my age. It's funny. I want to move to Austin for all the almost new stuff he finds for cheap. That's Musa. Look, Austin's great, guys. It's not the best. It's pretty good though. I ain't gonna lie, but it is what you make of it, right? Every town's what you make of it. Every town might appear terrible at first. You're just gonna have to figure out what the hustle is in that town. It doesn't matter if it's Charlotte, Austin, San Diego, different places, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. There's always a hustle to be made. I think to assume that you can replicate your own hustle in another town, I think you're going to find some struggle, right? Your own hustle is very unique to your own town every time. And that's the reason why, like, I can't sell surfboards here, but if I go to California, it's like, that's a great market. That's like the bike market, So you have to kind of like adjust to the markets out there and be open to new things, new learnings. And you should be able to do fine in any hometown, right? Any town out there, doesn't matter. If you're remote, drive an hour, right? Get to a better town and, hustle for a while, come back, sleep at night. Like, you got to do things like that if you have weird circumstances that are pressed up against you. So comfortzonestudio.com says Bonafide rocks. Thank you so much. We have 29 upvotes now, 41 watching. So my math now is at 12. 12 people haven't done anything, haven't pulled the like button yet. Help me out. Okay, so let's go into the screen share. Let's get some more learnings down the road here. If you guys ever find this 24-inch GT Cruiser, I mean, you will. If you keep your eyes open for it, you will definitely find this bike. I found it a solid 3 or 4 times. I found the 20-inch model probably about 2 or 3 times as well. So, it's not a hard one to find. Okay, let's go. Oh, it's such a beautiful bike. Look at that, man. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this today because this one, I believe, sold for $129.99. This is just a 0 Halliburton case that I believe this was a Salvation Army find for like $10 or less, like nothing crazy. So this is a 0 Halliburton. This is like Tony. This is a what is it? Tony Soprano? Who's it? Yeah, I think that's who I'm talking about. No drug dealer dude. And this is a really, really well built case. What's interesting about these is that they're made of that brushed, I don't know if it's aluminum or metal, so they're extremely tough, like I said before. You got combinations on the front. Some have these really cool opening latches. Like, this is pretty cool, but there's some other ones where you press these buttons on the side and like the thing pops open like straight up. I mean, I got a Learjet. Like, I am a high roller, like dude looking thing. Like, it's super cool. So I bring this up today because last weekend we found one. We sold it for $100. We bought it for like $3 at a garage sale. We actually put up the post in the green room like an hour ago. But this was literally like 3 days ago. We found a 0 Halliburton at a garage sale. I mean, just sitting there. It was one of the first finds of the morning. You'll see it on a ride-along video. It's coming out probably in a week. But anyway, That's what it looks like inside. They have what's called eggshell foam, or I guess it's what egg crate foam. Like kind of looks like this. Usually it's pretty trashed. Like this one's kind of trashed, but it's not too bad, right? Still, you can put things in there. So that one right there, $129.99. Doesn't matter if it really has crazy dings or anything. Well, I'll take it back. Really crazy dings all over. Okay, probably would have been like an $80 sale, but this one's in pretty good condition. Yeah, there's some stickers, but hey, you can just get a heat gun and get all that off. Really, really nice case. Now, some people might ask, okay, what do you do if you don't have the code? A lot of times when you find them, the thing will pop open and it has the code already, like it's on the code itself. If you don't have the code, you can do what eMoney does, and he sits there relentlessly for like 2 hours watching Netflix, flipping this thing. Like he's done it to so many things, whether it's like a lock, whether it's a lock for a suitcase, or it's one of those briefcase things, or it's a lock for a bicycle. Like if I have a combination that I want popped, like eMoney has like a really weird like Superman type ear. Like he'll just put his ear up to this thing, and like within 20 minutes he will pop open most things. But things like this are a little bit harder. So sometimes he'll just sit there for like an hour or two with Netflix going. He'll be like, all right, I got your combination. Here it is, these 3 numbers. So I just give it to him. But a lot of times I get them, they're already open and they're ready to go. So yeah. And the code is actually the code that I'm looking for. So interesting thing right there. All right, so right here we have, yesterday I talked about going to a pawn shop and I threw down $640 and I bought so many of these like remote control things. Some were already built and majority were not built, right? So right here is one of the boxes that was unbuilt, and we're going to see some more boxes that are unbuilt. And these are mostly made by 2 brands, right? These are made by Kyosho or Tamiya. And we can still see the pawn tag right here. I mean, I just drained that place. I think I walked out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if memory serves me right, it was somewhere between 9 and 14 cars. I think it was 14 though. But anyway, it was a lot. It was a whole lot. So $640 threw down. I didn't keep any of them, which is very unlike me, especially for the time frame. In the time frame that I sold them, like usually I would build one or like I would keep one. And I was like, forget it. And I think it was because no one in Austin races these things. They race these other type. Whoa, is that a ringtone? Hold on. I should have silenced this thing, guys. All right. Sorry about that. I don't ever think that my phone's in this room when I do this show. Let me silence this thing real quick. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Okay. Silent now. So yeah, there's nothing in Austin that has these kind of races for these cars. They have cup races and stuff, which is for like slower type cars that are usually all-wheel drive. But for these type, they need a pretty decent amount of space to start going. And anyway, so that's the reason why I didn't. I think if there was some sort of organization or a track nearby or something where I could do it, I would. But usually when they have these races here in Austin, they block off an entire parking lot for like a Sunday morning or I guess it's Sunday afternoon. Some parking lots close to my house are huge and they never pack up. So this like hobby town thing sits there and it like blockades a part of it off and it builds this racetrack, and then people race the hell out of these things. So, but it's not these, it's these like little cup cars. So this was in the box, right? When you open the box, it looks kind of like this. Here's the shell of the race car. Here's the decals and some tires back here. All this stuff. This is how Kyosho lays their stuff out. And I say that because you're going to see in yesterday's video, you saw how Tamiya lays theirs out, and it's like beautiful. It's like artwork. But anyway, the fact that it's unused is huge. This one sold for $120. Hold on, let me make sure. This one right here, the F92A. Yeah, this was $129.99 right here. Not bad. That was an eBay sell right there. Then we have this one right here, which is a TA04 chassis, right? Just a chassis. This is like a roller. It has a 4-wheel drive done through belts, but it has no like motor or anything like that. So here's how Tamiya kind of lays some of their stuff out. It's like much nicer and everything's real organized. But you still have to do all this work to get this thing right. I mean, to make it look like this takes forever. So there's the wheels, tires. You still got to spray paint it, put all the decals. It's so annoying. So TA04 chassis right here. I believe this one sold for. I know this one sold for a lot. Hold on, let me go to the next one real quick. Yeah, okay, so the last 2 sold for a lot. This one right here, I believe $169.99, if I'm not mistaken, TA04 chassis, just because it was a belt-driven all-wheel drive one, a little bit harder to find. And then we have ones like this, which is the F103. I want to say, I don't know if it stands for Le Mans, but it's just LM TRF special chassis kit, right? Now this one right here, the bottom is carbon fiber. So we're not talking about plastic anymore. And this thing's like a straight brawler. The suspension's really odd for like the back part of the car. The suspension's like up here. It's so weird the way this thing is made. And then the suspension up here is real basic. I think it's it's like in here somewhere. If I'm not mistaken, it should be in there. But it's really, really weird. And these things just hug the ground. There's like not even a quarter of an inch between this and the ground. It's so low. This one right here sold for $227, if I'm not mistaken, on eBay. Just that one right there. It was in the box. I mean, to the point where it was shrink wrapped in the box. I couldn't even open the box. So that was interesting. That was definitely a good sale right there. And then here's another one right here. This one sold for $230. Here's the other brand we're talking about, Tamiya. Okay, so 312 T3. Definitely an older type F1 car. And just a beautiful thing. This one comes with a body and a 540 motor, but nothing else. So you have to provide the receiver, the transmitter, and the speed control and the battery. But yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of work to get it to look like this, a whole lot. So if there's something if there's anything that you guys take away from this show when it comes to radio controlled like on-road vehicles, just remember this brand right here. Kyosho is pretty decent, but it certainly it's not the market winner like this one. Like Tamiya is definitely like the market leader when it comes to on-road vintage. This is basically retro vintage already at this point. Because now current day you have things like Tamiya, Schumacher. There's so many different ones. I think it's Schumacher. There's one brand that's like super awesome. Anyway, it starts with an S. It might be Schumacher. But yeah, Kyosho was still good. Kyosho and Tamiya back in the day, man, these guys ruled the marketplace, especially Tamiya. Okay, so let's talk about now the next one. So that one's that. We saw that one already. See, Tamiya like really like lays it out so nice, and it's all like beautiful. So when you're a buyer on eBay and you see this thing and you realize like, holy crap, like this is unbuilt. And, if the market shakes out at like $100 to $200 and you're like one of the only people, it's just a matter of time before this thing sells. And that's what I was playing. I was playing the top end game on this one because look how awesome it is. I mean, it's so beautiful. Okay, now this one, we're going to talk about this. This is cool. Let me stop this for a second and then we'll get into that one. Guys, having fun. Always like to touch base with you guys after, a little bit of time here. We have 42 upvotes and 38 viewers. Now that's good math right there. That means some people like the video and they took off. Don't know why. Simply Gorgeous says Rockstar Flipper has good material on his channel. I agree. I looked at some of his stuff the other day and it's pretty good. It's good to see everyone. Of course, great material. Okay, and then says Stonemason says I gotta run. I gotta watch the replay later tonight. That's what's good about YouTube and doing these live shows is that after I'm done, the video is going to become a normal video, right? And then the playlist will be up above. So if you're like, holy crap, I want to do more. I want more of these videos from Bonafide. The playlist I'm going to put up top. So there'll be a little, if you're watching on desktop, there will be a playlist button up there. Just hit the playlist. If you go to my channel and you look for my playlists, which you'll find Green Room Hangout playlist, all kinds of playlists, right? There will be one for the 10 items that sold series on my channel, which is important because if you're listing or just kind of chilling, playing a playlist is so much better than like, clicking buttons all the freaking time. Like you hit a playlist, it's just going to go. So anyway, it is good to see everyone. There's a bunch of people. Ooh, I like this guy's name right here. Roots Radical 808. This one is awesome. The reason why I like that name so much is because it comes from a Rancid song back in like 96, if I'm not mistaken. And the song, May 94 maybe. Anyway, there was a song called Roots Radical, and it came from the Outcome the Wolf CD. That was one amazing album. Anyway, it's definitely kind of punk, I guess borderline punk, but very, very, it got popular, right? It got popular, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next thing real quick. All right, good. I just want to make sure I addressed most of the people's comments here that were needed. Let's go into the next one because this one's really good. I think you're going to like it. Present to everyone. Okay, so what we have here is a toy tank. Okay, now you might be thinking like, toy tank, big deal. Now I can see myself finding this thing again at a place like Savers or you know, something like that. I found this at a Salvation Army, if I'm not mistaken, a Salvation Army. It was just chilling there, and I picked it up. I was like, oh, cool tank. You know, I picked it up, and this thing was heavy. Like, I think it weighed like 2 or 3 pounds. Now you might be thinking like, big deal. It looks huge. No, this thing's like the size of how do I explain this? This is a I'm trying to think. It's half the size of a piece of paper, right? So it's not big. I mean, it's actually kind of small. And these tracks were built out of metal. I was like, holy moly! We're not talking I mean, most of the entire tank was built out of some sort of metal, and it was crazy heavy. I mean, look at these tracks, right? This is now you realize this ain't a toy. This is like something really cool. Anyway, it's made by Solido, Solido. It's called a Chartiga. All right, Tigra, Tiger, whatever. Tiger tank probably is what it stood for. I believe Tiger tanks were real big in World War One or two, maybe. Anyway, Tiger tanks were the Germans' like best kind of tank of all time. It's argued that the Tiger tank is the best tank of all time. Just an amazing kind of thing. If you ever watched the movie Fury, you can get a little bit more custom with a Tiger tank, but it is like the best tank ever. And this one sold for $50. I believe I popped on it for like 3 or 2. Like, it was so cheap. Of course, I mean, you find it in the toy section, and no one really thinks it's a toy. It's a true detailed replica, like built strong as hell. Definitely not a toy. Something that a collector would put on their a bookcase or something like that. I mean, the fact that the tracks were metal like kind of blew my mind at that point. But I thought that was a good one. All right, so right here, when I did a pick back in the day, pick being like American Picker style. I go to someone's property and I start digging through all their stuff, you know, do the handshaking, like, oh yeah, cool, you know, thanks. And they, just go around the property and just whatever you see. And on this dude's property were like all these trailers, right? And all these trailers were stacked to the top with stuff. Now, where I found these weren't in any of those stacked to the top trailers. It was actually in the main trailer where the dude was living. And I kind of went in the trailer, and it was definitely sketch, right? I ain't gonna lie. It was, there were tough time. Okay, how do I explain it? Like, the first time I went down there and I scouted him out, it was just me and my FJ Cruiser, and I went down there and I scouted it out. I was like, holy crap, like, I've got to come back here. I basically filled up the FJ, and then I came home and I was like, holy crap, look, check this out, girlfriend. And it was now my wife, but I was, hey, check it out, girlfriend, like, look at all this crap I got. And she's like, wow, that's crazy, blah blah. And she helped me process through a majority of it in the span of the week, because 1 week later I was like, I got to go back, right? Because when you do really well to pick, your second thing is like, wow, how much more did I miss, right? And so I went back, but this time I brought her, and it was raining that day, or it just stopped raining, and like the property was muddy and everything like that. So we're going around, and I'm like looking at all these trailers, and I'm like, what did I miss? You know, and I bought a ton of stuff. We're gonna see a couple of those things here in this show. I mean, a ton, an absolute ton. Majority of the stuff I bought was like really awesome model train stuff that was just very hard to find. It was Lionel. There's another, like, not Bachman, but there was another like brand that was like so good in there. Very old. We're talking like cast iron kind of trains and like really awesome stuff. So we go into the main trailer, and it's like dark and it's real desolate. And I'm like, holy moly, there's just crap everywhere, and there's like people smoking, and I'm like, oh, okay. But he's like, you want to check out my like toy gun collection and all this stuff? And I was like, yeah, sure. And of course, that can lead to really good things when you're on a pick. You can ask further, like, well, are you willing to part with any stuff? Because, you know, I have money and you will need money basically at this point, and that's what we're here for. So he brought out this entire collection, and I saw these gloves, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Now, this is way after my time, because I don't even know really what Roy Rogers was or any of that stuff. I think probably some Western guy, my speculation, that was like famous with kids TV, I guess. I don't know. But I know that Roy Rogers, like, guns and stuff were built, and kids like running around with them and everything like that. But I found these trigger gloves, and these sold for $30. And it was just one of like 50 to 100 things I bought that one day right there. I mean, they're cool. And they have these little, I wouldn't say rhinestones, but they have this type stuff going on. I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, they kind of just look like normal little work gloves, but these were made for kids. So they could be kind of like Roy Rogers, I guess, who was probably like a Lone Ranger kind of person. Another thing I picked up from that, and I'm so like, holy crap, like, how was I even able to sell this on eBay? Like, and this was about maybe 3 years ago. But I think it's really important to learn through these pictures. Doesn't matter how old they are, because these things still have great markets and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I make these shows. But this is made by Mattel, and this actually shot like a projectile that actually looks like a real bullet, but it's made out of plastic, right? But this is called a shoot and shell revolver. And eBay let me sell this thing. I couldn't believe it. I tried to put on a gun the other day on eBay, a fake gun, and I even did the thing with the barrel, where you put the yellow thing on the end, and they took it down so fast within like 2 hours. So maybe with this whole, I don't know, ISIS stuff going on and things on the Middle East, like people are just, that's it. Like they're redoing their policies, and it's just too similar to a real gun looking thing. We can't be selling it here. So the shoot and shell snub nose is interesting. It pivots, if I'm not mistaken, this one pivoted downwards to load it. This entire cylinder right here, everything was kind of plastic, but nice plastic, like it's chrome, but it's not. But this was like heavy as all hell. This was made out of metal right here. And very interesting. Oh, I know what happened. I know how you load this thing. On the other side, there was this thing, which was a door, and then you put the little shells in there. I mean, it looks dead. I mean, you can go to a bank and rob it real quick with something like this. So very dangerous kind of thing. I never had the shells with me or anything like that, but this was really interesting, and it was definitely the size of like a real gun. So you can see kind of what it looks like when it's open. I mean, no one's going to know the difference. You go to anybody up, you go up to anybody with this thing drawn, and you are going to get blasted by the cops. That's just what's going to happen. So I do understand why eBay does what they do, because this stuff is very dangerous kind of things in the wrong hands. Even if it's a prank, even if it's like, oh, I'm a clown and I have a revolver, like even if it's a prank, it doesn't matter. Like this stuff is scary any way you look at it. And with as many people that are packing guns these days just in their pockets, like people do not need to be rolling around with these unless they're truly real guns. And at that point, the real consequences are the consequences are understood that come with it. But if you have a fake gun, you're playing around with it in the public, you are going to get blasted for sure. All right. So before I get to the next one real quick, see how you guys are doing. Let me go into the comments. Got 47 upvotes, 42 viewers. Man, we have some people that really like these kind of shows. I'm glad you guys are liking the show, by the way. We got Turntable 1, wow, saying, wow, I know. Definitely high quality. You're right. And that's what's interesting about some of these picks. What led me to this pick that, I was just loving American Pickers. And I was like, what? People watch that show and like, this is the greatest show ever, but I'm a reseller, and hold on real quick. I'm a reseller, and I'm like, why can't I do this, right? Like, why can't I? So I studied how they did it, down to the sheet that they provide the people, down to the scouting methods that they use. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. So I made an ad. Of course, I got a hit on it. I went out as a scout. I figured out that the pick was really good. And then I went back home, and then I came back with a completely empty vehicle the second time and bought a whole bunch of stuff, bought so much stuff. I think I spent $270 the first day I was there, and then $325 the second day I was there. Now, you might not be thinking that that's a whole lot of money, but literally this guy was like filling my spaceship up with stuff. I mean, it was ridiculous. So he was just trying to pay medical bills, and I was like, well, I got money, so let's make two things happen here. Anyway, yeah, if you ever get to see this in the wild, this one, shoot and shell, I believe it was a $50 sale, if not 30. I think it was 50. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, here's a last example of something that I sold in my booth. And I had this in my house for like the longest time, and I was like, oh, it's so cool. But then one day I looked at it, and I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why do I even have this thing? So then I just took it to the booth when I was cleaning up my garage. I can't believe I thought this. I mean, I was like, oh, this is rad. And then something happened within, a span of time where I looked at it the next time, and I was like, why do I even it's so weird what happened. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so I took this. It was, of course, this is an actual sign that was more than likely pulled from a quarry or a mine or something kind of like that. So blasting, turn off two-way radio. My guess is because of frequency interruptions, like maybe that some of these not bombs, but explosives were going off with certain things. I don't know. I don't know why they would want to turn off a two-way radio, because two-way is like basically CB style, isn't it? So Anyway, if someone can tell me that in the feed one day, that'd be great. I move this sign. Any kind of like sign like this would move in my booth for minimum 50, maximum like 100. This one moved, I believe, for like 67 or so in the booth. So really nice. You know, it's tarnished. It's got cool stuff. You know, cool patina to it. So that's the last picture I want to show you guys. It's really good to have the booth, you know, when you need it. There was a time where this was actually at the booth, the Roy Rogers gloves, and it just didn't sell, right? So then you go to a bigger market like eBay and then put them in a little envelope and boom, they sell. This never made it to the booth. I mean, there's certain things that I was like, yeah, always eBay. Like all these are eBay. This obviously was eBay because that's where only someone that's looking for a zero wanted it. And we have these on Craigslist right here, bikes like that. Spinergy was a reflip from a Craigslist. This was definitely Craigslist right here, the E-Savage. That was a Craigslist flip right there for the Stonehead guy, Stoner dude. And this was an eBay flip right here. So guys, get your avenues open, right? Don't be afraid. And I think you'll all be pretty decent hustlers. You just got to get out there and do what you love. You know, there was a time where I loved picking. Like I love going to people's properties and I love picking. And then it just, you know, it's definitely got some time associated to it, but there's definitely a big payoff especially if you have honey holes, right? For here in Austin, it's like they exist, right? But they come every now and then. So I pick every now and then. I loved doing it when I was doing it multiple times a month. I wouldn't say all the time, but I would say multiple times a month. And it was mostly stuff that belonged on eBay or a booth. None of the stuff that I flipped was done on Craigslist for any of these picks. But then, you know, you have to vary it up. I've always been a very kind of diverse type individual when it came to reselling, even in the early days. Like you look at my first book, Flip That Shh, and I'm talking about eBay, Craigslist, pawn shops, all this kind of stuff early on. And in the book, I was like saying that I'm going to start FBA soon. And literally like within months of finishing that book, I started FBA. So it's very interesting how I think some people really, I don't know, you can make money in this game two ways, but I like the second way better. One way is to just take something and you know everything about it and you become the best at it and you have an amazing avenue to resell it. And that example would be, let's say you go to my antique mall, there's a lady there that has that has two booths, right? She merged them and she deals only with like vintage costume stuff or Victorian era dresses, costume stuff, head things, pearls, you know what I'm talking about, all that kind of stuff. That's all she deals with, nothing else. She's not selling leather jackets, she's not selling anything other than these old type dresses and garments and things like that are mainly women. I don't think I see anything male oriented in her booth. And she's an expert and she cranks out, the last I heard, 8 to 9 a month grand. So there's one way to hustle right there. That's person A. Person B is, I think, the other type of hustler, which is what I like, right? And it's depending on your mood and what you kind of feel like. You just have an education. You have just this running log in your head of things to look for. And I like person B better. And so I'm naturally that way, where you hustle everything, right? And you try to hustle more and more different things and diverse, and you try to have the most diverse avenues. And I like that type of hustler better. That's just me. When I get along with people in the real life, like that type of hustler is, to me, a little bit more interesting to talk to. And for me, it's just, I feel like you can do that everywhere in the country. Whereas person A, you know, maybe Austin is just in a really amazing market for like costume stuff and all that. But then if this lady was to be put in any other town, it's like, I don't know if she would make it. Does that make sense? So there's person A, person B. You can't really argue that one's truly better than the other, right? But I think person B is a little bit more sustainable of an operation over time than person A, unless person A is completely killing it and never leaving the original hometown. Then person A might do well or over person B. So anyway, good to see you guys. I even saw Golden Finger Picker pop in here. It's good to see you, Chad. And yeah, it is good to see everyone. And lots of comments. There's so many comments in here. The best part about this show, guys, is that once it's done, it becomes a normal video on my channel. I'm going to add it into my 10 item series playlist. So once you're watching it later down the road, find the playlist, it should be above. I'll link it up there. If you can't find it, just go into my channel, go into my playlist, and you'll find the 10 items that sold series playlist that has a really cool graphic. It's very catchy to the eyes, so it's not hard to find. But if you want to keep it on play and do your eBay listings, I think that's definitely good. While I still have you guys here, don't forget to get 100 items to resell. It's the free guide down below. It's the first link. That guide will definitely help you out. 100 amazing items. Anyway, so like yesterday I found there's always something to be found from that guide. Just trust me. So it's good to see you guys. I will talk to you on the next Bonafide Hangout. Golden Finger Picker says, I love playlists. Yeah, playlists are cool. I'm trying harder to like build playlists so that way people can just kind of, put it on and just leave it on and learn. So good to see you guys. I'll talk to you on the next Hangout. Bye-bye.